all out attack, no holding back. Who does it the best? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today I'm doing a little video talking about the top 5 kind of underrated aggro based decks, like aggro style decks, because I don't know. I did the top 5 underrated control based decks that seemed to do really well, and so I want to talk about some other ones as well. So I know there are a large amount of people that love the aggro based decks. They are not so much in the center scope of the meta, but it doesn't mean they can't catch a lot of those decks off guard. The control based decks are generally a little slower, so an aggro deck can definitely has the chance to catch some of those slower decks off guard and just demolish them in one swift turn. So without further ado, let's get into this top 5 underrated aggro style decks. Before we get into it real quick, I do have 3 kind of honorable mentions, I guess would be the way to say it. So we have Luna Lights here. These are mostly just, so the first 3 decks are like decks that relatively soonish may be, kind of interesting rogue aggro decks. So Luna Light, we know they're getting the support in the Sisters of the Rose pack, and it looks pretty interesting. It looks kind of promising in helping to make Luna Lights again an OTK kind of scary deck. So look out for them. Again, look out for Madolches, another deck where future support. We have Madolche Pudding Sis. That's the only card on the horizon, but that card is so insane for what the deck kind of needed that I could definitely see this deck getting some regional tops. Definitely locals tops. For sure, regionals tops, I would think. I think there are just too many people that love Madolches and will try to make them work that I'm sure they'll get a top here and there. So look out for them in the future. Not on this list, though. And then Valkyries. Why is this picture so small? What are you doing, Yugipedia? Whatever it is. And Valkyries. We don't know what cards exactly are coming out in Savage Strike, I think, but I believe it was confirmed that we are getting another kind of a volley of Valkyrie support cards. So hopefully these are the ones that kind of can help Valkyries become a little more relevant meta-wise, because they do have that Time Goddess card that lets you jump from one battle phase straight into the other, so you get 2 battle phases right in a row. So that's pretty insane, so look forward for that as well. Anyway, let's jump into it. Keep in mind, guys, this is 100% biased. It's 100% opinion. This is just what I think. This is not, and they're also not in any order anyway. These are just the top 5, not from 5 to 1, 1 to 5, whatever. They're just top 5 decks that I think are underrated kind of aggro decks. Number 1 is Dinosaurs. You kind of knew this was going to be on here. You think aggro deck, and Dino is like one of the first decks that probably jump into your mind. Here, they have a lot of consistency pieces that are really nice. Oviraptor, Fossil Dig, right there, you have an insane boss monster like Conductor Tyranno. He is the reason that your deck can OTK. Otherwise, the deck would never OTK without him. He is insanely important. And we recently got support, I guess in the past year for this deck, in the form of Overtext Coatless, letting you search your double evolution pill, which turbos out Conductor straight from the deck, which is huge. You don't have to use your Oviraptor search on him. Not to mention Oviraptor can just dump Coatless to get the pill right there, right then and there. And in Soul Fusion, very recently we got Pankratops, which is a really, really helpful card. This is already a blind second deck. Usually you just blind go second. This card's phenomenal going second. This card's a staple in regular decks, regular meta decks. So one, it helps you remove cards from your opponent's field. It's a 2600 beat stick if you need it, and it's also just another Dino that you can kind of turbo into the grave if you have a Conductor in hand or you're trying to resolve a Devil Evolution pill. Yeah, it just helps the deck. It helps the deck move a little faster, as well as kind of break boards a little bit. Help get a little extra board break action going on. So really nice, and don't be worried, or I mean be worried. Honestly, be worried of Dinos. Conductor can just win games by himself. Then we have Dinomist here. So I think this honestly could be number 1 as far as underrated. If you're just looking at underrated, I'm not saying it's the best out of these 5, but as far as where kind of people think it is, I think it's a little better than that. So Dinomists are pretty much just a deck that runs a bunch of level 4 and 5 machine water pendulum monsters. These pendulum monsters are not overly insane in their effects, but thanks to their kind of just their stats, they have access to like one of the most versatile and insane extra decks like known to the game. Looking at this, like obviously you have Electromite. It's at 1, but still it's an insanely powerful card that helps you get your play started. Opens up 2 zones. You get it, which is huge. And they just have like access to a card like Bahamut Shark. Needs 2 level 4 waters, which can then pull a Toad straight out of the extra deck. And Toad's negate effect, it does not take materials, so you don't need your Toad to be XC summoned. You can just pull him out with Bahamut Shark, and then he just has the negate. He has to tribute himself for the negate, but that's fine because you're gonna negate something and steal whatever you negate. So really, really good, especially if you make them under him a Starboy. Even if you don't need his negate, he's still a 2,700 beater, and Bahamut is a 3,100 beater. So really, really nice. Not to mention they're level 5 machines, so you can just make Cyber Dragon Nova and then go straight into Cyber Dragon Infinity for a free negate of anything, and also a steal once per turn. So going first, you can put up negates. Going second, you can make an Infinity and just steal something. Like, you have so many options. We've also been getting kind of just random link monsters. We can also use like Cleaford Genius you can use in this deck, which is pretty cool. We've been getting some other Link 2s that just take any 2 machine monsters that they can make. I don't know how much viability they have in this deck, but they do. Anyway, moving up to the third deck here, we have Cubics. Cubics are really, really scary. And the reason for that is literally this card right here, Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Lord. Cubics, out of this 5 deck list, this is like by far the deck I know the least about. I just know that this monster is like almost as terrifying as Conductor, if not more terrifying. This card literally says if it kills something, right? When this attacking card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can activate this card. This card can make a second attack during this battle phase. So he's a 3,000 beat stick. If you kill something, you attack again. And also, during your end phase, each player takes 3,000 damage. Well, so if you deal your opponent 6,000, or sorry, 5,000, they lose. They just lose right there. Especially in a meta like now where everything's control based, that a lot of decks aren't putting a ton of monsters on the board per turn. This guy can attack and then attack direct, and that could be 5,000 right there in the right situation. Or all you need is one other monster on the board, and then you just win. That's an OTK. That's why this deck is so scary. It is kind of, his summoning condition is a little rough. You need 3 other cubic cards in hands other than him, so that can be tough. But you do have cards like Duza and Cubic Karma that just help kind of flood cubics to your hand to join him, and then you just drop him and you try to win. If you drop 2 of him, you probably just win. Like, unless your opponent has like the right outs to it, you're just gonna win straight up, and that's why the deck's so scary. It's really hit or miss. Like, a lot of decks have like, a lot of these aggro decks have like strategies that like help them kind of grind a little bit, or should they not be able to put themselves in a position to win, like if Dinos can't summon Conductor or whatever, they do have other ways. Like Dinos have their rank 4s that negate either a spell trap or a monster effect, so those are kind of nice, that like those help you play a little control strategy. You know, we already went over the negates and stuff that Dinomist can put up, on top of just being able to put up a lot of monsters and go for like attacks and stuff. But this deck doesn't have the most versatile options outside of like Crimson Nova. If you don't get Crimson Nova on the board, it can be really tough to win. So it is one of the more hit or miss, but definitely scary. Then number 2 or number 4, what? I don't even know. Whatever. Is Lightsworns. So Lightsworns are kind of interesting. They were in the meta earlier this year, earlier in 2018, when we had the 60 card variants with like Grass and Left Arm Offering, and you're playing like Dino engines and Plant engines and Brilliant Fusion, and you're just playing like 7 different engines in a 60 card deck, and it was kind of wild. But obviously with Grass banned, I don't think that's probably the way to go. 40 cards is probably your way. You're probably into, you know, to concise. You want to make your deck a little more concise and like kind of focus what you can mill. But You have like really good cards, like Raiden is like probably your best normal summon with charge mills 3 to add Raiden, then Raiden add mills 2, and then if he's still in the field on the end phase, mill 2 more. So that's a mill 7 right there. You know how much advantage Lightsworns can get from milling 7? You mill 5 just from that little combo before you even get to like before you even have like your battle phase. So the deck can definitely pump out a ton of monsters. You have access to like rank 4 engines, synchro level 8s because Raiden is a tuner, and you have JD as a pretty boss monster. Minerva helps you mill and do other things, and like search as well. Curious is insanely powerful, like turbo card. You have access to Fairy Tale Snow, which is a very good disruption card. Like that, I don't even want to get into all the cards you can play in this deck. I have a video going over like a ton of cards you can play in this deck, but pretty much there's just any card that has value in the graveyard, any monster or even spell or trap that has value in the graveyard, this deck can play it. So that's why I think this deck can actually be like a really nice like aggro strategy, because you just flood the board with a ton of monsters, and it can be really, really tough for any deck to really deal with like as much. If you get good mills, it's going to be really tough for your opponent to deal with. So that's why Lightsworns are here. Then we move to the final deck, guys. Blackwings. People be sleeping on Blackwings. I'm telling you, they're a solid deck. They do not get as much respect as they deserve. We have the classic Blackwings. Bora, probably the best one because he's not once per turn. Decent attack stat, you know what I mean? But you have all like the older ones that are like still solid, getting themselves out of the hand really easily. But then the new ones are what really pushes the deck over the edge. We've seen a couple regional tops and stuff, but nothing YCS, nothing crazy. But Oster is huge. Oster's the best normal summon in the deck. You play like 3 Lure of Darkness, you play 3 Sea Moon. Both of those will banish a Blackwing before your normal summon. Then you normal summon this special summons any Blackwing from your banish zone, and you just continue to extend and extend and extend. Also, when Raid Raptor Y Strix comes out, that's a little more support as well, because that's almost like a Crystron Needle Fiber in this deck, because you literally can just special summon a level 4 Dark Wing Beast monster straight from the deck, which can be Bora, which can be Chris, which can be Shura, whatever you want to special. You just get a free monster, so that really helps you extend a little bit. But yeah, Oster is really, really huge. Sea Moon is probably the best card by far. This card helps you extend so much. If you open this and just like a Black Whirlwind, you are going to like +6. It's actually insane. You're going to end your board with like 4 or 5 monsters, like big monsters, like Synchros and Link, like higher Link rated monsters, and you're still going to have like 4 cards in hand. It's actually crazy if you open this and like Black Whirlwind. Really, really good advantage gaining card. And then also we have a new boss monster that like certain decks just cannot even deal with. This guy is like one of the reasons why the deck is actually scary, because like Altergeist cannot touch this man. Like literally the only way they out him, I think, is if they make their Link 2 pointing at Marionetter to make it 3100 and then attacking over. But that's a little bit of a specific board for them to be able to set up, especially in one turn where you may have already been able to just summon this and steal something before they were able to do anything, because he's unaffected by all card effects. All card effects. He's a 3000 B6, unaffected by everything, and once per turn he can pretty much steal something. It's actually insane. So this is like these 3 cards, these 3 new support cards have pushed Blackwings to a new level. I think people don't realize how good they are, and I think they should try them out, because they also can do some spicy thing going first as well, because I know sometimes it's scary to use a going second deck in this day and age if you're not using Cyber Dragons, because of how broken like the contact fusion monsters are. Like if you're not playing them, people tend to be kind of scared of like going second in a meta where pretty much every deck wants to go first, because they just want to set up right in your face as much as they can. I just think like a lot of decks are just so slow. Like, what do Sky Strikers do if you're able to summon this? Like, how do they out this? They don't. They just don't, unless they can make like a Boral Sword or a Borreload and crash into you. That's like all they can do. So I don't know, man. I just think this deck has access to so many things that people just need to look out for it. But that's just my opinion, guys. Let me know what you think. What other decks do you think I may have missed? What other like damage pushing aggro decks, OTK decks that you think I might have missed here that probably should be in your top 5, or maybe even mine that I missed. Top 5 underrated aggro decks. But I'm gonna get out of here. I think these are pretty good. I think they can win. I think a lot of decks can win. I don't know, especially with the new ban list that just came out in the OCG. They literally hit like every deck. They hit Goki Dark Warrior. They hit Sky Striker. They hit Altergeist. They hit Trickstar. They literally hit every single deck in the top like 5 or 6, just so that like their ceiling comes down and everything else that was kind of fighting underneath of it can rise up, and then it's just a giant, whatever, just a giant free for all of like 30 decks. So that's what I wish the game was. That'd be insane. Could you imagine if we had YCSs where like max one deck could have 3 tops, but that was like the most they could have, and we just had like 10 to 15 different decks in top cut every time? That'd be crazy. That'd be so cool. Just some stupid thoughts at the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, subscribe for more content from me in the future, and I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Thank you so much for supporting me. I love you. I love you. Bye.